The Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series all head to Indianapolis this weekend. We get you ready from a betting perspective next on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. It is Brickyard 400 weekend. Very excited for the week of the cars finally going to Indianapolis to race on the real racetrack. The Xfinity cars, the Cup Series cars, all on the big track this weekend. And Friday night under the lights, we have at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. We have the Truck Series. So I'm really excited this weekend to see what we can do. So I got the crew with me here tonight. Excited to see what these boys have to say. And Phil, I'm going to kick it over to you. We spent some time in Poconos or at the Pocono Raceway this past weekend. You got your Butterbean Queen hat on, and it was a good time. Your bets hit a little bit. You said you got Ryan Blaney that hit on Sunday, and you had some stuff in trucks. So it was a good weekend for you. How are you?
It was a fantastic weekend, Derek. Large part because of you hooking it up. So yeah, much appreciated to get me and my brother-in-law back into the garage area on pit road. It was amazing. And you know, we were there for the truck race, hit some nice bets in the truck race, and kept it going for the weekend. So it was a great time, man. It was a great time. And you know, it's pretty interesting now, kind of using that information. Basically feels like deja vu, like looking at the metrics and, you know, the stats, trying to study up for Indy because it's pretty similar to Pocono in some perspective.
Yep.
So, yeah, looking forward to the Brickyard being back.
Yeah, it's not too often where you're able to comp a race, in my opinion, and just watch the week before. So that's been nice to be able to do that this week as we get ready for Indy. And like I said, the Xfinity cars, the Cup Series cars, I think we're going to see some good action all weekend long. And Mark, you weren't able to join us last week. We missed you, but happy to have you back. Like the hat, like the stash. So how's everything in your world?
Everything's great. My life is great and wonderful. I'm fired up to be back, and I felt like there was no other way to come back than to pay tribute to the inaugural Brickyard 400, 1994. I am 1994. And I could not be more fired up to be back on, you coined it, the real track this weekend. And I'm using a lot of Pocono, placing my bets this week. And the books, at least in the Xfinity Series, don't think that Pocono means a damn. So I'm excited. I'm actually more excited to watch and bet the Xfinity race and the Cup race. There are some juicy numbers out there in the Cup Series. So I'm fired up. Let's rock.
Good. You're fired up, ready to go. And then last but not least, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Stevens of wintherace.info. Ryan, how are you? We also missed you last week.
Dude, yeah, thanks. I'm glad I'm back. The band is back together, all 4 OG members. Yep. Let's just have a good time talking about Indy tonight. We got some things we don't know. You know, they've never been on this tire code, things like that. I totally agree with Mark, though. Like that recent speed on a big, long track where you're going to have to be fast, that's going to matter. Figures like Denny's one of the guys that tested here. I think that's kind of funny. Like he needs any extra help at all. But you know, there are some numbers. I will be talking a little bit of Xfinity tonight as well, because I agree with Mark's sentiment there. It's going to be a fun race, and there's some good numbers there. But yeah, let's get it. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, I think let's get it is a good segue into what we're going to do here tonight. And if you're trying to find us on X and you haven't been able to, we're having a little couple. We're having some issues streaming live there. But if you're watching on the YouTube side, make sure you like and subscribe. Helps our buddies over there at In Between Media. And if you're downloading the podcast, the NASCAR Betting Preview Show on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, thank you. Make sure you subscribe to that as well. So couple interesting things here. As the boys know, we've been doing a group chat. My power went out. I got the kids. Wife's out of town, so they're now doing a sleepover because I couldn't put them to bed in enough time. Power just came back on. So we're a little bit everywhere this week. So rapid fire is going to be a little bit different, probably off the cuff a little bit more than usual. And Phil, I'm actually going to start with you. So we saw last week Ryan Blaney won at Pocono. Do you, because I know I said it, but do you use that as a comparable track going into this weekend?
Yeah, I think you have to, just because of the size of it and the speed, the strategy. Ryan from my fantasy race has it as the first direct comp to each other. And then, throws Michigan in there as a secondary comp as well. So I think there's a lot you can learn from Pocono, and I think it's kind of a gift for gamblers in a way that the two are back to back on the schedule, because we can kind of just refer right to what we saw. We don't lose some of the stuff that gets lost in the sauce a little bit. Drivers who might have had some pit road issues and things like that we might forget about if it was later in the year. We kind of know everything that we saw at Pocono, and I'm also including the next gen races at Michigan and Pocono as well. So, going back to 2022. So yeah, it's definitely worth looking at what we saw and kind of aggregating it all together.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I'm with you on that. Question for you, Mark. Looking at this weekend, let's just talk about Xfinity real quick. They got Austin Hill priced pretty damn cheap. They get it right, or are they off the cuff a little bit?
They couldn't be further from the truth. And I don't really understand. I do understand their basis. I don't agree with it. Their basis is that we're using a super speedway engine. Like, that's going to matter when they're going 185 into turn 1 and turn 3, and they got to slam on the brakes and let that thing roll and be a race car driver. We go to Daytona, any super speedway, Talladega, Atlanta, got to throw it in there. There's very little driver skill. Let me hit the brake. Let me roll the corner. Let me save my tires. When we go to other tracks, the aforementioned RCR drivers who are at the top of the odds board, they don't do very well. Austin Hill's got a handful of top fives. Jesse Love, you see him every once in a while on some pit strategy. Why are they the favorites? I really cannot comprehend. I would love a devil's advocate. I would love someone to come in here. I would love to know what the books, if that's actually what they're thinking, because I think that's straight up ridiculous. And so that's why I think, there's a lot. I think they're all Xfinity regulars this weekend at Indianapolis, and Allgaier, Custer, the 7, 8.5 to 1. Chandler Smith's middle teens. I just think that they have this price completely wrong, and for them to think that it's going to be any sort of a super speedway race, they're beside themselves. Now, when we get to Michigan, maybe a different story, but Indianapolis, give me a freaking break. No, they're totally wrong. Do not bet the RCR guys.
I was just going to say, the books probably just looked at the track configuration type, the size of it, knowing that it's going to be a super speedway engine. They probably just read that on Front Stretch or J-Ski, wherever it was, and just went with that. Said, well, this guy's dominating the super speedway. So, Ryan, a question over to you. We saw the books, even on the Cup Series side. We got Denny right now at 4 to 1, and the prices are fairly short on that side. Do the books get that side of the portion right for what we're going to see on Sunday?
No, I mean, I don't think Denny should be 4 to 1. I mean, he should be the favorite, but I understand what they're doing. I would have put all favorites, probably fair 6 to 7 to 1, something around there. But Denny does, have a lot of experience here. He's got some decent finishes, some good finishes in Indy. He wants to get that win. He tested here. We've seen testing matter more and more. So the fact that he did do the tire test, I think, also kind of slots him in as the clear favorite. I have him ranked number 1, but that's obvious. It's pretty much him or Larson in this package everywhere we go. Yeah, I don't know, 4 to 1. I didn't bet it. I'll say that. I'm not betting that number. It opened up some value elsewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say it did open up some value for sure. But I was also gonna say with that, Denny even talked about this on his podcast, and I don't know if you listened to it or not, but he did say, similar to what you said, there is an advantage to doing the testing, especially for the period or the length of time that they did. But with it being an hour length of practice, 50 minutes, they're going to lose that entire edge because the entire field after 30 minutes is going to catch up and find whatever they were doing. And but there is value on the board, which I like.
You have 4-1 or you have like 2.5-1 like Austin Hill, but we're looking at a track where like we don't know how these tires are going to wear, if they wear at all. Well, there's been a lot of fuel strategy lately, a lot of tire strategy lately, and it's not hard for a 4-1 guy to have the fastest car but find himself stuck back in the field because of different strategies and depending on when cautions come out. So very hard to bet someone 2.5 or 4-1 right now when strategy could be all over the place.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Phil, question for you, and let's look at the Truck Series real quick. Who's a name? I know what you're going to say, but who's a name that people should keep an eye on? And if the books do release odds, this week at least, who should they be potentially betting on, depending on the number?
Too easy.
Let Ryan answer that if it's too easy. Go ahead. Let me put it in our group chat real quick, and don't look at it.
You don't have to put it in the group chat. I can tell you. I know exactly who it is.
What am I going to say, Ryan?
Sawalch.
Go ahead.
No, that isn't who I was going to bring up right now. William Sawalch. I mean, look, William Sawalch is definitely someone that I have on my radar. Derek and I are hoping to get into the Truck Series pod after this if the weather holds out and our power stays on. But what?
Try it again.
The answer is Lane Riggs.
Okay.
That's who I'm looking at for top 5 numbers, sneaky outrights, head-to-heads. Superbook had him in a head-to-head against Sammy Smith. I think that's super intriguing. North Wilkesboro being a pretty good comp. Both of them finished top 5. Lane Riggs had his best finish of the year at that track. He's a short track guy. This is why he's in the car. So if it's not this track, sorry, kick rocks, Lane Riggs. So this is a big week for them. And I want to be a part of it if he does come through.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think you and I are only going to be talking about this weekend 5 drivers, including Lane Riggs. So we'll see what we're able to do. Hopefully we get odds here soon. Mark, question over to you. With this weekend coming in, especially from the Cup Series side, there's a lot of momentum for Ford, especially Ford. Chevrolet, who I've talked about it before in the show. Ryan, I said it to you a couple weeks ago. Should Chevy be worried? They have not won on a 1.5 mile track or above since Larson edged out Buescher there. And when's Chevy going to get their win on the oval? This used to be a every week thing. They were going to get it. Now when? Are you worried?
I'm not worried. No, I'm not worried in the slightest. Now, I'm a Ford guy. I drive a Ford on daily, first on race day. But Chevy, don't get your panties in a wad. Don't get so upset about it. Okay. Like Ryan said, there's been some strategy, fuels. We go to an overwhelmingly more amount of places that tires don't matter than we go and tires do matter. And when that happens, people can stay out. The whole field gets flipped. Yada yada. Track position. Chevy, they were the fastest out of the gate. Then Toyota caught up to them. Then Toyota was really fast. And now the Fords, we're going on like 6-8 weeks now of the Fords having legitimate speed. I think it's very entertaining as a fan, as a gambler. The Fords, I think, were like 4-1 last week to win the race, and Blaney ended up winning. That's bonkers. But if I'm Chevy, I'm not worried. Look who's driving the pace car this weekend. I mean, come on, NASCAR loves Chevy. NASCAR loves Rick Hendrick. They love Chase Elliott. We love Rick Hendrick, and we love Chase Elliott. We love betting on them. They're going to get back into victory lane. I have a bet on a Chevy driver, not to win the race, but I am betting on a Chevy driver over a Toyota driver. The only worry that I have is like the thing that I always I go back to is Martin Truex Jr. last year. He was the class of the field for 20 races. And then all of a sudden he was nowhere to be found. Kind of like the stretch that Denny Hamlin's been on the last 5 races. Couldn't sneak out a top 10 in 5 races after dominating the first half of the season. So it's just this ebb and flow in the Cup Series. I'm fired up for it. It opens up a little bit more of the longer odds guys. I'm going on a rant here, but there was a time where it was Larson or Denny. That was it. Right. And I think, we look at our models, we look at our numbers, they're going to point to Larson and Denny this week. And I think that they're going to open up Ford coming in is going to, I just completely lost my train of thought. No, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be worried if I was Chevy. Carry on.
Okay, we'll carry on then. I'm going to ask you a question because I'm curious, Mark, as well. You still got those boxes up top there to your left?
I actually don't. I'm moving in a
What?
couple weeks, and they're in a box. Yeah, you see these
Well,
boxes?
find me something good.
Okay.
Or is it
I'll find
buried? If it's buried, it's buried. I was just going to say, find me
How
something
about
good.
this?
Pull something random out. While you're doing that, let's see what you got. Ooh, let's talk about that. Oh,
R.I.P.
Hooters.
Hooters. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Chase Elliott. R.I.P. Speaking of Chevy,
Pretty cool. I like
There you
that.
Yeah.
You need to show off your do like a, what was it, a cribs. You need to do like a cribs episode of your apartment there, your bedroom.
When we get all settled in, next place, we'll
keep it
fire
G-rated, of course, but yeah, we need that. Ryan, question for you. I had a question. I forgot what it was. It might come back to me here in 3 seconds. Not quite sure.
Look at
Can't
us.
remember. Any other tidbits or anything that you found to win the race that you want to kind of highlight real quick before we dive into ride and fade?
I had some thoughts that popped up when Mark was just talking there about the last question. Like, are you worried about Chevy?
Yeah.
You know, some of these guys, these drivers that got wins early in the season and locked themselves in the playoffs, we see it time and again where like they might be trying some different things out, some different setups, testing some things. That's why I also think Pocono is very important because there are no tracks like Pocono or Indy in the playoffs. There's nothing to test for. You're just going out there and trying to be fast. So, and for guys like Denny, it's like you want your win here before you retire. So it's like there's certain things people are racing for, and that I think is huge for guys like Larson or Byron or people like that. No more testing. You show up to the track. You're fast. Byron was fast last week at Pocono. Probably not race winning speed, but what if they improve on that a little bit this week? I just think that these two tracks kind of take the testing part out of it for the playoffs. It's just that could help bring Chevy back into the mix. I think having all four HMS guys now with wins and in the playoffs, but 3 of them won early, so maybe they were testing some things out.
Okay, so you helped me out with maybe a question I was going to have. Phil, question for you. We've been kind of hitting this the last few weeks, which has been really good. But Monday morning headline, in your opinion, will be what?
So maybe I'll talk about it later. And this goes against a couple guys in the chat here, Brian and Kyle, but I'm going to say Byron wins the Brickyard and sets himself up for playoff success. So when I say playoff success, I mean, I know we're talking about being just going out and racing and not having anything to test for or anything like that. But there are things that these guys, even at the top of the board, are fighting for. I mean, there's 15 points are huge to win the regular season. Playoff points are going to be huge because there's only 5 races left, and then all of a sudden it gets real. So, it's going to be a really entertaining race, and I do think Byron has a chance to do that. So we'll talk about him later in a little bit, probably.
Well, I'm glad that we'll be talking about him. It's one of my favorite races that I've been anticipating all year. I wish I was going to be out there. We had some things unexpectedly happen here back at home, but I wish I was going to get out there. So I hope everybody has a good time and enjoys all 3 races. I think we're going to see a great 3-race stretch here, or back to back to back. And then you have the 2 weeks off. So let's jump into ride or fade here real quick and hear what the guys have to say from a head-to-head standpoint. There's some books that are giving us, decent amount. There's some many that are giving us nothing. So, Phil, I was listening to your show. You had Tina Patino on your show here this week. Good episode. He always brings good energy. You guys had a really good vibe amongst each other talking about the bets this weekend, obviously highlighting his background, his story. So who's a head-to-head that you found maybe on the show or post-show?
Yeah, I'm going to go with one that the first one I wrote down, and the way we handled the show this week, we recorded last night. We were kind of just like workshopping stuff, and this survived the workshop. Now, I have a feeling Ryan's not going to ride with me here because I just based off of your rankings, I know where these 2 guys sit. But hear me out. Maybe I can convince the jury otherwise here. So minus 125 on DraftKings, Joey Logano over Ty Gibbs is where I want to go here with this conversation. I'll start the metrics that I'm using first. I saw someone in the chat say like this year, NASCAR 2024 is more important than past history at Indianapolis. And I agree. Looking at these two guys this year, they're like neck and neck. They on the comp tracks, Pocono and Michigan next gen car, they're right next to each other. 14.4 average finish for Gibbs, and it's kind of like all over the place. Fifth is his best, 27th is his worst. And then you're looking at Logano kind of right there as well. He's got a couple top fives in there, but then it's like, 20, 14, that sort of thing. So then I really do hold in high regard experience at this racetrack. And Logano is one of the best in the field. Looking at the last 5 races here, he's got 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s. So having no experience here for Ty Gibbs, I think is going to play a factor. I know Brian, he's already saying no fucking way. But let's look at Pocono last week. I mean, the Fords are coming on, like Mark called out, and Logano with a top 5 last week. Bit surprising. So I think maybe things are starting to click at the right time for that Penske team and the 22 specifically. So I would really hold the Indianapolis experience high regard, going up like the top dog at Indy in that time frame compared to someone with green, totally green. Then you look at just last week, Ty Gibbs was served that the start of the race on a silver platter. He earned the pole and did nothing with it. So that is concerning to me. Like if I was on the other side of this, I'd be like, he could be fast as shit on Saturday, but I can't trust him in the race, especially at a racetrack that he's not been to in the Cup Series. So I'm going with Logano here, -125, the elder statesman over the young pup.
Well, we know how good Joey Logano's record is on new tracks. I would consider this a new track, maybe not a brand new track. He's been on it before, but we know what his record's like. Mark, what do you think about what Phil said there? Do you like the Logano over Gibbs side, or are you, a Giblet boy 101?
What race is this of the year?
This is not 54. This is probably 22nd race of the year.
Okay. No, I'm that was a genuine question. I have no idea. Let's just call it 22.
While you talk, let me look.
Yeah, I have no idea. The first however many races of the season, if you gave me this matchup, I'd be on Giblets. I'm a Giblets homer. I think he's gonna be fast. He's gonna some point he was gonna come into his own, have enough Cup starts under his belt to be a factor. That JGR speed, like Phil said, he earned it. He earned his way up there, but they gifted him the front row, and then the second or third restart, he just boop, 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 up the track back to 20th. Never saw him again. So Logano, on the other hand, historically stunk at Pocono, all of Penske in the next gen car, and then Blaney wins the race and Logano finishes 5th. So I like Phil's sentiment of experience with Logano, and I'm gonna ride. I would have faded the first 20 races of the year. Thank you, Derek. This is 21st race of the year. The first 20 I would have faded. I'd have taken old Giblets, but yeah, give me some experience. Give me Logano.
I like the Logano side as well, but maybe Ryan, you might not.
Well, I just don't like betting it. That's all. If you put a gun to my head, I'm going to take Logano at Penske's home track against the kid who can't get a good finish here anymore. So everything that's been said, I totally agree with. I just can't look at these speed numbers and bet it. I just can't bet it. So that's where I'm at. But if I had to, I would, and I do here, I'll ride with the boys. And that's what I would do if I was forced to.
And I'll say this, I think that this matchup is a perfect microcosm of how this week is going to be for gamblers because of the time off at Indianapolis, not seeing this in the next gen car. We're going to be having these thoughts all over the place. And this one in particular with, like I said, veteran, good experience versus nobody that's been there or somebody that hasn't been there, but has been better. 2 ships in the night kind of this season as far as like how they've been finishing. So we're going to have these types of conversations probably all night and all week.
Yeah. Okay. So I like that. I like good conversation there. I'm curious maybe if Logano comes back up a time or two here throughout the show. But Mark, going to kick it over to you from a rider fade standpoint. What have you found from matchups? And make sure you do some explanations here.
I usually I like to scroll down the board for matchups, as you guys know, but and I don't like betting teammates. I don't like betting the favorites in matchups because one guy could be go out and lead 97% of the laps. You never know. But Bet365 has blessed us with an outrageous line on Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. And Denny Hamlin is the massive favorite at -170. And Kyle Larson is the overwhelming underdog at +140. Now, I'm looking at Pocono, so I don't have much of a sales pitch here. But when you see Kyle Larson, who can dominate any race at any time, at +140 versus one driver, I don't care who that driver is. There were times in this season that I was just salivating at a plus money top 5 for Kyle Larson, a +115, a +120. And you're going to give me +140 against one guy? Like, I don't care who the driver is. I don't care. Obviously, Denny Hamlin's had a great season so far, not the last 5 weeks before last week. I don't care if Jimmy Johnson in 07, Earnhardt, 87, Richard Petty in 1971. I don't care. You give me Kyle Larson against anybody at +140, mano y mano. One guy, I'm taking him. So, if you look at Pocono, it's all Denny. He's finished first, and second. I mean, he DQ'd, throw it out. If you look at like all the other speedways from this year, I had Zach put the 3 Pocono races and then all the other speedways. And Larson beats him at all the speedways, but Hamlin's got him at Pocono. So I think +140, this is a coin flip. It's always the coin flip. Left hand higher, please, Derek. When you have a coin flip and you have a guy like Kyle Larson at +140, you make the bet. So don't have any numbers, don't have any, juju, none of this crazy nonsense. It's strictly really good race car driver versus other really good race car driver. And one of them's got hellacious odds. That's what I'm taking.
Well, Big Ross is riding with you there at that +140
Thank you,
number.
Ross. Let's rock.
Wow. He feels like what you said there was accurate and spoke to the man. And Ryan, what about you? What do you think about that? I know these are 2 of the best right now in the sport, the fastest 2, if you had to argue. And what do you think?
Yeah, if I had to bet it, I would bet the Larson side. We have the Speed Geek Sims on Win the Race, have it fair at 121. So the 140 is some decent value there. And it just like Mark said, everything he said. I mean, the 2 best drivers right now in this package, hands down, and he's got to beat one guy. So at a track where so many things can happen here. So yeah, I definitely take the +140 side on arguably the best driver in NASCAR.
Okay, so you're taking the +140 side. Phil,
Oh,
what
he's
about
still
you?
going. Oh, shit. Oh, no.
Forget it. All right,
Oh,
Phil, what
boy.
about you?
After that, I don't know.
Stop that.
No. I agree with Big Ross. Blindly riding any Larson matchup +140. That's a great way to put it. I think Denny's numbers stand out, so that's why he's way he is. But if you're going to bet this one, +140 has to be the way. And then factor in, I mean, how many laps, apples to oranges, but how many laps did Kyle Larson do at this racetrack just a month ago or 2 months ago? He's been living and breathing Indianapolis, preparing for the double. So now he's going to get a chance, kind of like redemption here. I wouldn't be shocked if Larson did something special. So +140 to beat one driver. I'm interested in that, so I'll ride.
Okay, so you'll ride with that. Question for you, Mark, and then Ryan, I want to get to you. But I think Charles asked a good question here, asking, can you allude to a number of units you would put on this matchup in particular?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. It depends on how many units you're going to spread across for the race. Like if you're going to put 5 units, if you're like a half a unit guy on a play, then I would play it as a half a unit, like a 1 unit type deal. If you're a 20 unit guy, then that's maybe a couple, 2, 3. I mean, something that you're willing to lose, you're willing to part ways with. It's plus money, but if it hits, that's a nice little payday. So no more than a couple, but it depends on your unit allocation for a race. On the smaller side, though, absolutely.
Okay, so on the smaller side there. What about you, Ryan? What have you found for us from a head-to-head standpoint?
I have not bet anything yet, like I told you guys, but I do like something that Greg found. It was qualifying head-to-head, actually, and it was Gibbs over Reddick. Gibbs is minus 105 in the matchup, a slight dog the way they had it priced. But Gibbs is now, if you take out Dover and Bristol in this intermediate package, he is now the number one qualifier in this package. He's also the only driver this year who has won the pole twice in this package, which most recently at the track we're talking about, large track, got to show up with speed. There he is again. And actually, if you look at all of just the larger tracks, like if you stick 1.5 and up, Vegas, Gibbs wins. Texas, Gibbs. Kansas, Gibbs. Charlotte, Gibbs. Pocono, Gibbs. So he's won every single time when you needed to show up on these tracks with a little more speed. And like we talked about with Gibbs too, you don't need the race. You just need this one lap. So, or 2 laps if they both make the final round, which they probably will. It'll be sweaty as hell, but a fun bet to make. And Gibbs has won every time. That's anything remotely similar to this. So I would take Gibbs in that minus 105.
What about you, Phil? You like a good qualifying bet?
Sold. Sold. I know I took Logano over Gibbs in the race, but that's a completely different animal from what I was talking about. And this makes a lot of sense. I mean, these two guys, apples to apples the whole way. It's been Gibbs, and yeah, we saw last week what he can do. So I was the first one he pointed at down pit road, clapping for him when he got the pole, So I'll roll with him in qualifying again.
What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm not a big qualifying bet guy. I leave that to Zach and Ryan, apparently. Well, hey, listen, watch it. I know my lane, okay? I probably should be. I do. But yeah, Ryan put on a good little sales pitch there. We'll roll with it. I like Ty Gibbets. I mean, he won the pole last week. Sounds pretty good to me. I mean, you throw out 2 races that aren't even close to what Indianapolis is, and he's the best qualifier we got. Sold. Minus 105. Sold.
You're sold. The Larson car is in repair. So on the DVP clock currently, it looks like Ryan Priest's accident at Daytona. So I got to fix all that later. But if you like that bet, like Ryan said, the qualifying bet, put in the comments here, sold. I'd be curious for all those that are going to be tailing that. So let's move into the position props now. And Mark, I'm going to throw it over to you. Let you kick this one off.
Let's rock. We're going straight to the numbers. And this guy, he's a veteran. He doesn't have the greatest track history here at the Brickyard. However, there's a little bit of a nuance there. But we're going Marty Truex, both top 5 plus 160 and top 10 minus 145. The top 10 did not get added until about an hour ago when I found out that Truex's odds dropped. So that's what happens when I bet guys early in the week. I bet Truex at 12-1. He's now 13-1. Oh, that's great. I bet him top 5 plus 160. That number stayed the same. I wanted to go bet the top 10, but him and Reddick were stalemated at minus 170. Well, Truex didn't get in the love apparently in the money department. So Truex has fallen a little bit. So that opened up his top 10 number. And I love that. Wow, Bovada top 5 is 2-1. I'm getting railed at Hard Rock. So that's cool. Go ahead and slap that. So he's third in our model, Zach's model. He was last 3 Poconos, second in average running position, second in driver rating, second in average finish, all behind Mr. Hamlin. And last week, kind of sneaky, led a couple laps, but he wasn't ever a race winning factor. But he had the 4th best NLD speed last week at Pocono. And I think he's going to bring the juice. And while you're at it, go ahead and bet the 13-1. Go ahead and bet the 12-1. Some track history that we've got here. The last 4 times we went to the Brickyard, DNF or mechanical failure for Mr. Marty Truex. The 2 before that were a 4th and an 8th. So I know we're really stretching here. I know Phil likes track history and he puts a limit on it. He goes, okay, anything past that just absolutely does not matter. I get it. But the dude's raced here like 16-something times. I mean, it's a lot of track experience. And he was fast last week. He's fast Pocono. He's been fast all year. If you look at the point standings, he's he's got 3 digits next to his name above the cut line. And it's not even. I mean, he should be in the winner's circle. So not going to be shocked this week. Go ahead and throw that 12-1. Go ahead and bet top 10 minus 145, top 5 plus 160, or in Bovada's case, 2-1. Go ahead and smack that.
Okay, so take that, smack that, do whatever you need to do,
All on
as
the
Mark
floor.
says. Yeah, there you go. What about you, Ryan?
This is where I can't give anything out at all. I don't like any of the 3s, 5s, 10s, nothing right now. So I've searched. I told you guys I had like 13 tabs open earlier. I was like trying so fucking hard to come up with something for this, and I just can't. I can't find anything I'm comfortable with.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate the honesty. That helps. What about you, Phil?
leave it at
Anything you
that.
found?
Yeah, I do have something, but I just want to comment on Truex. I love Truex this week, and I think, you know, if anybody's going to be scared off by Truex, it is some of the history at Indianapolis. But this is a situation where you really have to dig deep and go through and actually look and see what was wrong. I only remember this because in 2017, Casey Kane was the winner, and Truex was it was him and Kyle Busch. They were the class of the field. They wrecked each other. Or they both got into a wreck at the same time. And after the race was over, I remember listening to the radio. Everyone kept saying, "Well, after the 18 and you know, after Busch and Truex were out, then you know it opened the door." After Busch and Truex, he has speed at this track. Mark laid the points out. I'm in Truex in a couple different ways, so good call. I will throw one of my favorites each week: Caesar's over unders on the Speakeasy. This is a back marker, and I'm just going with what the numbers tell me here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sucks at Indianapolis. He sucks at Indianapolis. His over-under is 23.5 over. It was minus 115 last night. It's now minus 135 over. Like, I think that number could move. 8 starts at Indianapolis. He's finished over 23.5 7 fucking times. He is useless here. And if you want to say, all right, well, track history is not going to matter or whatever, like I think he's seeing demons, thinking about flying into Indianapolis. And it's not like recently he's been better, you know, comps on Pocono and Michigan. He's 3 for 5, succeeding and, you know, being under 23.5, but that they're still not close. Like, you're sweating that, you know, if you're taking the under anyway. There's a 21st in there. There's a 20th. So he's not blowing anybody's doors off. His best finish in the next gen car on these comp tracks that I have is 12th. So no, thank you. We're going over 23.5 on Caesars.
Okay, so you're going, and you said that was on Caesars. So good intel there. I honestly, Ryan, I do appreciate you saying that, because don't want anything forced, because we know people that are listening to the show, YouTube, podcast X, wherever it is, people do like the information of what you guys share. So I really appreciate you just laying that out there for everyone. Let's go into the outrights though. And Ryan, you did touch on maybe the potential of some, you know, better priced drivers. Is there anything that you found in this market?
Yeah, so for winners, I took Bell and Byron both at 13-1. Kind of going back to what I said, like some guys who were winning early, maybe they've been trying some different setups out. I think you can definitely tell with Bell, he kind of like transferred quickly over to like the 4th best Toyota, which I don't think he really is. You come to a place where, you know, the one time Bell ran Indy Oval, he ran in the Levine car. He started like 35th or something and finished 12th. So now put him in his JGR car with some practice and qualifying, which he's only behind Ty Gibbs at doing this year. And we saw him rip a bunch of poles in a row in this package off last year. I just think, you know, Denny did say this is going to be a track position race. So the fact that Bell qualifies here and can show up as the fastest Toyota sometimes, 13-1, I think, is just created by, you know, this Denny 4-1 business. I don't think there should be that wide of a gap. The Speed Geek Sim Center has both Byron and Bell between 11 and 12-1 to win. So I'll take the 13-1 on both of them. Both proven winners, both elite teams. I love it. And then all the same sentiment goes to Byron too. Byron's qualifying is actually unreal. He has the 136 on here, which I should probably take out because it's Kansas when he didn't post a number. But he's made the final round in all but one race, which was Gateway, and that's because he qualified 11th. So other than that, he started 4th, 8th, 6th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 7th, 2nd. So he's always there. And then you give him that. Him and Bell both have crazy fast pit crews too. So if it does become tires matter and you need 4 tire stops or whatever at the end, or it is a quick pit stop, they could find themselves out front with enough speed to not be caught. So 13-1, had to take it on both.
What about you, Phil? What have you found from the outright market?
Rookie.
Sorry, I'll keep it quick, especially because I muted myself there. Byron is who I was going to throw out here in this segment. So Ryan did a good job there. The only point that I'll make is, like, we were seeing earlier saying like Hendrick kind of takes this part of the season off. And, I think I tend to agree, but I thought Hendrick looked pretty good last week at Pocono. Not 100% race winning, but we saw Byron and Bowman top 5, and we saw the other guys get speeding penalties. Who knows where they could have been if they were, had it all buttoned up. And Chevy, track history for whatever the hell it's worth. Chevy at this racetrack over the years, over the decades, has figured this place out. I mean, they had a stretch for a while there where they won 12 in a row, which is wild. Took a couple races off, and then Casey Kane got it done in 17. So I think Chevy overall, and then who's the top Chevy team? It's Hendrick. So Byron at 13-1, that number is just like, whoa, he's fast, and the qualifying points are very good call out there by Ryan. So yeah, I thought 13-1 was good.
And what about you, Mark?
I'm going to read you some finishes from this guy that I'm said betting. So I know I'm looking at Pocono heavy, but there's also 5 other races that I'm looking at, the 5 speedways this year: Vegas, Texas, Kansas, Charlotte, Nashville. Don't ask me why. Once again, let me just read you some of these: 3rd, 4th, 20th, 4th, 2nd, 4th, 2nd, 6th. Any takers, any guesses on who's got these good? Phil, go ahead.
Is it Tyler Reddick?
Bingo!
Let's go.
Listen. This guy knocks on the door every single week, okay? He would have 3 top 5 finishes the last 3 Pocono races if Joey Logano wasn't such a blocking son of a bitch last week, okay? He's 4th in the model, 2nd in average finish Pocono. All 3 finishes, like I said, within the top 6. Thanks, Logano. 3rd in NLD speed when you bring in all the tracks. 5th in average running position, and 3rd in driver rating. So this cat, I don't know where Tyler Reddick fits in the hierarchy of Toyota, making Bell the 4th, but Reddick's got to be in there somewhere. I mean, this kid, he's done everything but win. He's led laps, top 3s, top 5s. The dude can wheel the damn thing. I've been on 23-11 for like 3 weeks now, and I can't kick it. I started Chicago, went last week. Now I'm on him again. I just love the speed that 23-11 has and Tyler Reddick has. So I bet him 12-1 at Hard Rock. He's 11-1 now. I'd bet the top 5 number plus 145, maybe 150, whatever I saw it at. I'm just really high on Tyler Reddick. The model loves him. He's ran very well at Pocono. He's run well at every single other speedway we've had this year, except for the 20th at Kansas, which I'm trying to find it. His average running position was 12.5. So, I don't remember what happened to Kansas. Couldn't tell you what happened to Kansas. Don't care what happened to Kansas. Tyler Reddick will show up this week. I got him at 12. I see Ryan wouldn't mind him at 13 as well. But yeah,
it's
like Kyle said,
for anyone that can.
Yeah, fired up. Kyle Robert. Reddick is a bridesmaid again this week. Probably. That's why you should take a top 3 or top 5. The top 10's minus 170, but I'm big on Red Dog. Love it.
I was wondering if he was going to get brought up, so I'm glad that he did. So good call out there, guys, with all of those. I really think that was, helpful for everybody, including myself. That makes me want to maybe get down a little action there. So let's talk about best bets, best values. And Phil, I'm going to let you kick this off. What is your favorite bet going into the weekend, regardless of series? What have you found?
So I think I could have gone a number of different places here, but I'm going to segue off of Mark and the chat here and stick with 23-11. I think Bubba Wallace top 10 plus 135 is a good situation here. And I was listening to Larry Mack and Danielle Trotta today, and they were talking about like who's going to be in, who's going to be out on the bubble people. And no one mentioned Bubba at all. And I was a little bit shocked by that. So here's what I'm going to lay out there for you. last 5 at Pocono and Michigan in the next gen car. He's got the 3rd best average finish with 1 top 5, 3 top 10. So there's your recent situation. 4 top 15s, by the way. He just missed a top 10, which is what we're aiming for here. That's the bar, with an 11th place finish in that group. So 4 top 15s, really close. Then if you want track history, he's been to Indy 3 times. He has let's see, he has a top 5 finish and a top 10. So 2 for 3 finishing, and it's his most recent. That's driving the 43 car. Ugh. He did it with that car. So the point being, like, Bubba is someone that fits this style of track. And we talked about it last week. And the story we were talking about on the podcast with Tino was, this guy was down and out on himself, on the team at Pocono. They thought the car was shit, or he thought the car was shit. Chastain was out of the race. He needed to do something, and they got back into it. They just willed it to a 10th place finish, which was great for me. I think they do it again. I think they can have a better race and start better, run better, and capitalize on a situation here where I'm not sure if Ross is going to be all that good. So they're in the points hunt yet again. And I think these tracks, Michigan, Pocono, Indy, I think they set up well for Bubba. So top 10, going for a points day, maybe plus 135 is the best number I saw on MGM.
Okay, so plus 135, you said is the best number you think you saw there. I'll make sure that that's confirmed. And what about you, Mark? What have you found for us? Best bet on the board or best value, in your opinion?
Shout out Bubba Wallace. I love that guy. Just sneaking in the top 10 last week, barely holding off Mr. Buescher. I thought we were toast. I loved that bet last week. It was at plus 210. I love it again this week, plus 135. Go ahead and take it. However, my favorite bet of the week, you'll have to listen to Laying Coin. Sorry. I gotta tee it up. I gotta play the show. Okay, we're gonna have a big explanation on it. It's gonna take like an hour to explain. No, I'm just kidding. That's an Xfinity Series matchup. We're gonna talk about it on Laying Coin. But Cup Series favorite bet so far. We're going back to the well with Marty Truex. Group 3 on Hard Rock plus 240. He's a co-favorite. Now, as previously mentioned, we're pretty high on Marty this week. He started the model. The other 3 guys in the group: Gibbs, Buescher, Logano, guys we've talked about tonight. Another chat was talking about a little Buescher outright. I don't want any part of it. Okay, don't want nothing. Some mealtime cautions last week. Actually, by the way, I saw some tweets last week on RFK. Okay, they found themselves in the lead because of timely cautions, and then they lost the lead also because of timely cautions, not because they drove through the field to get there. I just want to make that clear. Okay, so Gibbs is 9th in the model, Buescher 11th, Logano 12th. Now, Truex has had the best track record when you're looking at comp races, Indianapolis, whatever you're looking at. Truex is the guy. The only guy that really scares me here is Gibbs because of the speed that he potentially had. He just can't close. And Gibbs is also 3-1. So I think Phil talked about it early in the episode, the experience factor here. So if you want to go experience factor, Gibbs has 0. I'll take Truex plus 240. I'm not necessarily worried about Logano and Buescher. However, this is Logano's boss's track. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it, okay? I understand Rick Hendricks in the pace car. Logano's team owner literally owns the track. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. So, is he going to slip a little cash into the inspection? I don't know. But Marty Truex Jr. plus 240, Group 3 Hard Rock. I don't think this is going to be close.
Okay, I like you said a nice little Hard Rock bet there from a group perspective. And Ryan, I think I saw you said you're going to go Xfinity. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, there's some ridiculous lines over there, in my opinion. So I'll just start rattling them off. First 5-star bets in the Sim Center have been crushing. Last week's best bet was the same one that Phil's on this week. It was the Ricky Stenhouse over. That slammed again. Biggest ones this week: Justin Allgaier over Jesse Love. He was minus 115 when we got it. It's still minus 125. That's a stupid number. We have it fair at minus 170. I would take Allgaier over Love all day, every day at this track. Allgaier has more experience. here. He has a win here. If we're talking super speedway engine, I don't really care. It's not like his is slow. And then we're not doing the aero package from super speedways. So while they might be drafting a little bit, it's not Daytona or Talladega. It's just not. So I don't know. I really like Justin Allgaier. I think the experience plays a big factor, like we've talked about all night long. So this guy's finished 6th, 5th, 1st here. I mean, he's not bad at Indy Oval. Then Justin Allgaier to win, 8-1 right now. I would take that. 9-1 is where we got it yesterday. 8-1, still great. He should be the favorite, probably around 4 or 5 with Austin Hill, and he's 8-1. I just don't understand the number. And then lastly, Carson Capel over Josh Berry. Everyone saw how terrible this Josh Berry team is last week when he pits to change tires and they don't have any fucking tires ready. I mean, it is just like, what are they doing? So I just don't get it. If we're talking the speed of a JRM car versus that shit box that Berry's rolling out there, it's not even close. And that on the Sim Center is actually a ridiculous number of fair at minus 246 for the Carson Capel side. So I would.
What the fuck are you saying, Ryan? What the fuck are you saying?
What?
Capel?
Quapple?
I don't know. How do you say
That
it?
V is a W.
Quapel?
Quaffle.
Quaffle.
The A is an O. The
Like
V is a
waffle,
W.
but quaffle.
Wait,
Quaffle.
say it. So say it.
Quapple.
Carson Quapple?
Quapple.
Quapple? Are you fucking
Quaffle.
me?
Isn't it like? Isn't it?
Are you fucking
Who's
me,
his
bro?
dad? Isn't it like Travis Quapple?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Quaffle's
Oh,
been
what
in
am
the
I-
sport
what
for a
was I
long
saying?
time.
I
He
don't
came
know
in
love
with
you,
the
Ryan.
Quaffle,
What
Capel?
Damn Yankee.
Capel?
Capel or
What did I say?
something.
Capel?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
around
had
here.
good points, and then
Schemes?
everybody still hung up on Capel. Like,
I'm
who the
sorry,
hell's that?
dude.
Call him
Ryan,
Carson.
Hey guys.
I'm an asshole.
Hey guys. The fucking 88 over the 15. You guys understand that English?
Dude. No comprende,
That's
senor.
Good God.
I'm sorry. Dude.
So are you guys riding with me?
Fuck yeah, dude. Are you kidding me?
Didn't me?
I don't care
Oh.
who's in the 88. Put me in
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
88 and
matter
I
what
beat the
his name is.
15.
Doesn't matter. That's a perfect The Rock drop right there. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Love it.
That's great.
I like it.
stuff.
All right, that's
Awesome.
good. That we had to call you out there. That was good, Mark. I appreciate that because we were all thinking.
I mean,
that,
who
so.
puts a V after a K? What the
I
fuck?
no,
What is-
listen.
What?
I completely
No,
agree
we
with you,
didn't name
Ryan.
we didn't do their last name. That's 400 years ago, probably.
Let
Yeah,
me see where
that's
it's
true.
from.
Wasn't us. Don't get mad at us, Ryan. Language I see here in the chat by Big Ross.
I should have done something fun with Barry too.
Czechoslovakia. Does that shock you?
Oh.
It's a Czech name.
Oh, did not know that.
No, Czech
Interesting.
Republic. Sorry.
Yeah, you should have done something there, Ryan.
So one last time, how do you say it? Koppel? Like Ted Koppel?
No.
Quapple. Quapple.
Quapple. That
Quapple.
just is not right. Quapple.
Quapple.
Oh man, I'm probably gonna get quappled when he fucking wrecks.
Well, now something's gonna happen with this bet. Everybody else is on it that I'm
fuck.
seeing here in the comments, so that'll be interesting. So, Phil, this is a good segue to maybe send us off because I feel like we're getting a little crazy here because we're having Ryan up there who's gonna have an issue here if he has to say quapple again. So, how do you?
Capel.
Yeah, never mind. Go ahead, Phil. How can everybody best support you and everything that you do?
Yeah. So, Full Tank with Phil's name of the podcast. We had Tino Patino on this week. Really fun episode. Good way to kind of work through this race and just kind of like tonight as well, kind of working through some of these bets and these conversations because it is kind of an interesting race. So, yeah, Full Tank Phil on Instagram for the race day cards and Twitter as well. You know, let's chop it up. But I hope everyone has a good time watching this race. I'm glad that it's back. Whether it turns out to be a good race or not, I think we still need it. And I hope everyone has a good 2 weeks off, man. So rest up. We'll be back at it. So thanks, everybody, for listening and chatting with us.
And Mark, how about you? How can everybody best support you and everything that you're doing?
Yes, sir. You know the deal. Land Coin's coming out tonight in a few hours. I have no option because I'm hopping on a flight to the islands tomorrow morning. At Skybox NASCAR on Twitter, if you guys don't know. I am 1994 with this porn stash and this hat. We're bringing back 1994 this weekend. I don't care if we can't pass. I'm fired up to be back on the oval, ready to rock. I think there's money to be made. You know, we're going to a new track, but we're not going to a new track. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see if practice and qualifying matters, see if the pit strategy matters, but I am fired up. I'll tell you what, I am so excited for this Xfinity race on Saturday on the big oval. I mean, I am not only is it the greatest series in the world, but I might have my largest bet ever in my life on this race on Saturday. Oh, absolutely. I don't care. We haven't been there in 4 years. Doesn't matter. Appreciate you guys. Listen to
Can you put out like a good video or something so that we know, like we can anticipate this greatest, largest bet of all time in your estimation, if that happens?
Yeah, it'll be me in the Bahamas drinking a rum runner. I'll just say, this is what you should bet. And I'll just tweet out some slips or something.
That's all I ask. I don't ask for much. That's perfect. Ryan Quaffle, how are you? And how can everybody support you?
Quaffle. Yeah, you can find me at the Quaffle
Go.
House. I don't know, man. I'm doing wintherace.info. I can spell everything correctly. I don't need to pronounce it. You just got to read the stats and use it that way. It's a good thing I don't have a podcast, so I can't butcher things on the daily. But yeah, thanks for having me as usual. Thank you everyone for listening. Wintherace.info, half off your first week or month if you want to sign up. I would definitely do the week now and then just cancel it because we're off for 2 weeks, and then hopefully we'll see you back when we come back. But yeah, guys, have a good break. I'm glad that we got everyone back together for the last show before the break. So that was awesome. Well, good luck, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a good time tonight. Good to have you guys back on, be able to do this. And thanks again for everybody listening. Sorry we had some technical difficulties streaming over to X, but thanks for everybody that listened on the podcast or on YouTube. We really appreciate that. Again, make sure you subscribe to In Between Media. It helps them out. And make sure you subscribe to all these guys on their X channels and support them every way you can, because they give every effort possible to make the community better place for you. So thanks, boys. We'll see you in a couple weeks when the series heads to Richmond.